dictating from the top how everything will be done and not involving the team, not treating the team as adults and sitting them down and going, this isn't working. How can we make this better? What can I do to support you in making this better? Being leaders effectively, rather than that sort of control freak dictator that has to control everything. The sooner you can get ownership comes from having one right way to do everything, training it, giving feedback. So everything is clear. There's total clarity about what the role is. There's total clarity about what good looks like, what the standard is generally, when somebody's going to get feedback, etc., etc. When there's total clarity, then people feel that they can take ownership. They're not scared of making decisions because they have all of the information they need to make those decisions.
Business can be a funny thing sometimes, trying to balance the many competing priorities. And as managers, as leaders in those businesses, we've probably all faced some of those rather frustrating trade-offs, like how do I systemize without losing the engagement of the people? How do I introduce a process and make it effective and sticky? And we'll hear more about what that means later. How do we actually ensure that the business processes, that the way we do things is really bought into by the people who are doing those things? One of the keys is to involve those people in defining the way that you do things. And we'll hear many more of those examples in today's conversation because my guest is Marianne Page. She'll be sharing her extensive experience from a career in McDonald's, as well as the work she's done since leaving with a host of small and varied businesses, SMEs, and beyond. We talk about the importance of developing your people, creating those systems in the right way, fostering that culture of engagement and ownership within your organization or team. We also cover a whole load of other subjects, including the need for clear planning, the value of a simple, logical, repeatable approach to the work, the perils of AI. We, of course, touch on that. It's the hot topic right now, so it comes up pretty much every episode, and much more besides. There's also some great stories from Marianne's career, both in McDonald's and since. And I know that you're all going to get loads out of this episode. So stick around, do listen to the end, or you can check the show notes right now if you like for links to learn more about Marianne and her work. Find her on social media, LinkedIn in particular, and do reach out to her. I'm sure she would love to hear from you. If you are listening to this podcast because you are a first-time leader, first-time manager, because you work in a often overwhelming, daunting, highly technical, highly specialist environment or workplace or company, then you're in the right place. Thank you for being with us. Great that you're here because you are who this podcast is aimed at. Because when you are promoted from doing the work to leading the people who do it, those expectations that are on you and your inputs change overnight. And yet those expectations are rarely defined. And if they are defined, it's usually not well. And the support that you need to excel in this new role rarely shows up either. Leading with Integrity, the podcast, and my Integrity Leaders community seeks to provide emerging technical leaders just like you with a community of peers, with proven leadership frameworks, with expert insight and experiences shared on this podcast and in the community, with grounded mentorship, all of which are intended to help you lead effectively from day one. If you would like to learn more, have a listen at the back catalogue of the podcast. There's over 230 episodes now. And come and visit my website. It's leadingwithintegrity.co.uk. It's on the screen. It is in the show notes. On that site, you'll find a bunch of free resources, including a very fun leadership heroes quiz, which I do encourage you to take and let us know how you get on with that. You'll also find on the homepage and elsewhere a big green button to come and join the Integrity Leaders community. That will take you to the landing page. You can learn a bit more about the community there. You can select the appropriate membership for you, and you can come and join us. You can start benefiting from all of those things I've just talked about. If you would like to learn more, as always, my LinkedIn details are down there too. Do reach out, connect, drop me a message, and let's chat leadership. And I look forward to meeting you and hopefully welcoming you aboard our virtual starship Integrity. Now let's welcome Marianne to the show and get stuck into another great conversation about leading with integrity.
Welcome to the Leading with Integrity podcast. Leadership talk for the modern manager. With your host, David Hatch.
Marianne, welcome to Leading with Integrity. Lovely to meet you. Lovely to have you on the show.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, well, it's lovely to have you. I'm going to push you in at the deep end, I'm afraid. I did give you a bit of warning before I hit the button, but over to you. Introduce yourself. Tell the listeners a bit about your career so far, what you do today, why you do it.
Okay. I spent most of my growing up time at McDonald's. McDonald's was my pretty much my first job. I actually joined McDonald's until I got a proper job. That was what I told people. Nearly 3 decades later, no, I absolutely loved my time with McDonald's. Great business to work with, work for. They expect their pound, like most corporates, they expect their pound of flesh, but oh my Lord, so much opportunity, so many learnings that I've now, taken into my own business. And, I'm sure we'll get into some of them as we speak, but it's just a really good business for taking somebody, teaching them system. If I tell you that I was the most naive 21-year-old you are ever likely to meet when I joined McDonald's, and within 12 months, they had me running my own restaurant, £1 million restaurant with a team of 50 and 2 18-year-olds supporting me as assistant managers. And, I'd love to say it was just because I was so amazing, but I just learned how to follow the systems and they taught me how to manage people. And that was really the whole of my career. They are very good at challenging you and pushing you to learn more, be more, develop yourself, fulfill your potential. And one of the biggest lessons that I've taken out of it that I really try to share with particularly small business owners who want to hold everything, control freaks, is that they taught you to replace yourself. That the only way to develop yourself and grow and take on more responsibility or get promoted, whatever it was to develop the people who were working with you to do your job. And it's definitely one of the big lessons that I've taken since I left McDonald's. And since I left McDonald's, I've been working with scale-up businesses mostly, helping them to build the systems and the structure that frighteningly few have. Even the businesses that are, I've often walked into businesses doing well over $1 million, often several million, and I'm sort of going, how the hell did you get this far without any structure and systems? And it's largely on the blood, sweat and tears of the business owner and the small group of people that they started out with. They've just driven it to this size. And then obviously the cracks start to show. But no, beyond that, I've written a number of best-selling books, happily. And I'm now a speaker. Well, actually, I've always been a speaker, but I now speak as a business, which I absolutely love because it's just, you get your message out to a bigger audience. So it's, yeah. So that's me in a nutshell, David.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, very well condensed, I think. 27 years plus there. So I think there's that truism that always jumps out to me about if you make yourself irreplaceable, you'll never get promoted. I think there's a really interesting point in there about the way that big corporation, particularly as it is such a big corporation, pushes you to develop your people for exactly that reason. That's
Absolutely.
that's fascinating to me, and I'm always curious as well because from the outside. So I'm kind of the opposite. I've spent my whole career in small businesses. I've never really experienced that big corporate culture.
Yeah.
But you read things and you hear things, and usually people come out of them not feeling like they've been treated very well or valued very well. And that's obviously very different to your experience. So I'd love to dig into that a bit more if we
Oh,
can.
massively different to my experience. And I think I really do think it is a big lesson for small business that if you engage and develop your people and really help them to progress and develop themselves as human beings, as well as, as contributors to your business, then they will stay longer and they remember. I know a number of people who started out as 16-year-old crew members who became very senior managers. One in particular who became a vice president from not from nothing. Obviously, all of these individuals had something about them, but McDonald's taught them all of that. And it is a big corporation, but it's also very deliberately what was the expression I always use? Like multi-local. So, every restaurant is its own small business, effectively. Whether it's a franchise restaurant or a corporate restaurant, the restaurant manager has an awful lot of autonomy. They are expected to act like a business owner. And yes, of course, they get masses of support from the centre, and they get masses of follow-up and corrective coaching from the centre too. But it's very much, well, for a lot of years, it was almost, the UK business almost felt like a family business where, everybody knew everybody else, even as it was growing. But it is, I do think for me, the reason that there is so much, so many people, that there are a number of like pop stars or not football stars. They never had a proper job. But a lot of people in a lot of businesses who say, yeah, I got my start at McDonald's. That was where I learned how to be a member of a team. That was where I learned, the importance of, doing things systematically. That was where I learned the importance of structure, and I've taken that and, I've gone on and done big things because of it, or it's just helped me to be a good team member. And I think for me, it was that constantly being challenged to be the best I could be. That just, when I look back, well, my whole life really, apart from my first 21 years, has been focused on the sort of the McDonald's ecosystem, if you like, because I talk a lot about McDonald's still, as I am doing here. And it's not, it's absolutely not that McDonald's is perfect. Oh my God, McDonald's has been through so many crises, for, some things not so much to do with them, with their own management, some things very definitely to do with big mistakes that they made. But ultimately for those in it, it was about that training, development, progression, engagement, feeling like you were part of something that was heading in a really definite direction. And actually one other thing that, again, I really try to get this to the businesses that I work with, is that McDonald's have a very particular planning system. And yes, it starts at the top, but it is cascaded all the way through the business to the managers. And it's called this 3190. Well, actually, they call it 31Q, but I prefer 3190. And it says, right, here's our big vision. This is who we are. This is where we're heading, in the future. But let's look at the next 3 years and let's break the business down into really clear focus areas that we will plan for each of those focus areas, rather than just going, yes, let's be a £3 billion business by, 2027, 2028, whatever. It's really broken down into a roadmap. And their focus areas are people, product, price, promotion, and place. I remember them. And for each one, they look at them and, right, where do we want to be 3 years with our restaurants? What do we want our restaurants to look like? What's on the horizon that we need to be aware of? So, the likes of those screens that you see in a McDonald's restaurant, that will have been planned as part of the place focus 3 years ahead. Then it's okay. So if we want to be there in 3 years, where do we need to be in 12 months for each of these focus areas? And then, right, what does that mean for the next 90 days? And as I say, that's cascaded all the way down to the restaurant level. And the restaurant managers are challenged to, okay, this is the big goal. How can your restaurant contribute to that? What can you do to drive forward? So there is a real genuine sense of we are part of the success, not we are dictated to from above. It's like we are, from the ground, we are driving this forward as well. So it's all of that leads to incredible engagement and also real loyalty. I mean, I think last time I looked, which was probably last year, 95% of all senior managers had started out in a restaurant. And that's a massive, a massive number. They grow their own. Yes, they do bring in new blood because they have to for new ideas and whatever, but they grow their own. They spot talent and they develop it. I love that. I just wish more people would do that.
Yeah, I think in this day and age as well, where the norm in a lot of industries is 1 or 2 years in the job and moves to a new company. I think that's quite a good reference, isn't it?
Yeah,
for an employer.
It's real. Yeah, the longevity is incredible. I did nearly 30 years, and I was not unusual in that. Just wasn't. There are loads of managers who did similar numbers.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that experience, because it especially there speaks to one point that I feel like I hammer a lot in the leadership sphere, but it's kind of tied up in that sort of myth or misconception of what leadership is about. And I've been talking about this a few times in the last 3 or 4 months actually on the podcast as well. But it's this bit about that sort of the top level strategy and vision and that planning for the perfect future that most businesses never achieve. I'm sort of coming to the view that maybe that isn't actually about leadership. It's just, it's almost a paper exercise a lot of the time. But the reason for that, I think for me, the leadership bit is how you translate that down to every individual in the organization. And you've just explained a brilliant example of how to do that. And the results that delivers as well. Because again, like there's so many, especially in small businesses, I think, but I might be being biased and unfair to people there. I don't know. Listeners can tell me. Leaders are like, well, my job is a strategy. You don't need to know. You just do as you're told, kind of thing.
Yes.
And I think I've certainly personally seen like the very opposite scenario that you've just talked about, where there was that mindset. So people weren't bought into it. They weren't particularly loyal to the leaders or the company generally, and results weren't as good because it's very difficult, I think, to give your best effort and really work hard and do things that you probably don't really want to do, but it's your job. If you don't know why you're doing it and how it fits into whatever the goal is. If you even know the goal, which sometimes they don't tell people either.
You know the goal. Well, does the business owner know the goal is often a question I ask. But it is that need for one clear direction that we are all bought into. And of course, the people who work in a business are not often, I won't say never, but are not often as committed to a business as the business owner. It's the business owner's name over the door. But there is so much, and you've just described it perfectly. There is so much me and them. It's my business. I'm expected to have all the answers. No, you're not. I'm expected to be the best at everything. No, you're not. They just come in and do what they're told. Even the word staff, to me, I hate the word staff because that's very much me and them. That's very much the management. It's the other phrase. I hate the management. The management. Oh my God. It's like, and it leads to this me and them, when actually, if you can get we and us, and that was absolutely 100% a thing that McDonald's achieved. It was we. It was always we. We are going. It's about us. We are going here. We are the number one, all of that. And if a business owner can see that the other challenge, sorry, just jump for a second. The other challenge that a business owner has when they say, I'm in charge of strategy, you just do the job, is that they develop this parent-child relationship that then the children are always either waiting to be told or being naughty because children are naughty, or they're challenging, but not challenging the decisions, or they're just challenging, why do I have to do it that way? Why do I want to do it? It's just this parent-child relationship the whole time. And if you can get an adult-to-adult relationship where let us, our key people, let us sit down and plan where we are going, then you get that ownership. You get those people committed, and they then feed that down to the people that they're working with. Come on, we can do this. And it's so much more fun to be in an environment like that as well. And we need to be having fun at work.
Oh, 100%.
Where there's so much, well, not me, obviously, because I can have as much fun as I like. It's my own business. But you know what I mean? It's like we're there so much. If we can just generate more engagement by developing more ownership, by giving people the opportunity to think and not telling them, you don't need your brain, just leave it at the door. You can pick it up on the way out. So who's engaged in that? I genuinely believe that nobody goes to work wanting to be bored or, wanting to just get through the day. I genuinely think people want to do a good job, and they want to be engaged, and they want to have fun and do good work. Some people will call me naive, but I think that does come from the leader. It comes from how you approach your people and what, how you engage them. Do you even talk about what they did at the weekend, or do you not care what they did at the weekend? It's an interesting thing. That little bit about planning though as well, that desire to be a meerkat rather than a hamster, really to every, and this is definitely in McDonald's a quarterly exercise, and I absolutely encourage anybody to do planning on a quarterly basis. 90-day sweet spot is a sweet spot for a reason, but it's that ability to get your head up and look for the opportunities that are coming, and also look for the crises that are coming. Look for what is going to be an issue for your business, so that you can plan ahead, so that you limit the damage that it does. Even COVID. There's a slide I love showing. It's an image of McDonald's share price before COVID hit, when COVID hit, and it literally goes down in it just drops like a stone. And then a couple of weeks later, it comes right back up to where it was, and then goes actually higher. And I definitely attribute that to the fact that they couldn't see this coming. I don't think anybody really saw exactly what it was going to do, but they had plans in place for if something like this happened, what would they do? And they motivated and, got everybody together and went, right, come on, let's do this and this and this. And off they went. Yeah, it's amazing. Amazing.
Yeah. Naive or not, I think I'm with you on pretty much everything you just said. Yeah. Yeah. I think, the other point that occurs to me about that sort of, I'll do the strategy, you just do the job thing. If the leader is that far removed as well, I guess it depends how big the organization is, doesn't it? Yeah. I think maybe this is why it's a small business problem quite often, is because they feel like they're closer to what's going on, even though they probably aren't in the day to day. But if you've got this idea in your brain for the strategy, you say, right, by next year, we're going to sell, 4 million A's, whatever A's are. but you never involve the people who are actually interacting with your customers.
Yeah.
And then the people who are interacting with the customers, the junior staff, I agree, hate that phrase as well.
Yeah.
They're sitting there thinking, well, how are we going to do this? Because nobody wants to buy A. They're all asking for Bs and Cs. But the leader says, no, don't worry. I'm doing strategy. You just stay in your lane.
You just do what you're told.
And the business will fall over pretty quick, won't it?
Yeah.
It's certainly never going to get to that grand vision objective.
Yeah.
So,
and that is because it is the number of times I've said, oh, great. Can I see your business plan? Yeah, of course, yeah. And they give me a spreadsheet full of numbers. And say, look, there's the big number. That's where we're going to be in 3 years' time. Okay, how are you going to get there? Well, we're going to work hard. There's no roadmap. There's no, we need to be there. We need to have this in place. If we're going to achieve that, a number of figures that are just pulled out of the air. Anyway.
Yeah, or they decide on what that big number is going to be, and then the rest of the spreadsheet is just making that look like it's practical achievable, right? Exactly. They work backwards.
Making that figure work. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of spreadsheets anyway. It's like, oh God, show me pictures, don't show me numbers.
Yeah.
Although some mathematicians would say the pictures are in the numbers. Yeah, okay. So
I'm not convinced about that.
No,
yeah. I don't know. No. I mean, I don't hate spreadsheets. They have their place, but I agree. I think there needs to be a lot more behind them. Otherwise, they're just meaningless.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah. Let's talk a bit more about one of your books. How many did you write? I've lost track.
4.
4. Okay, so there's one called
4 with another one.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
Another one on the way. I do enjoy writing, though, David. I have to say.
Yeah. Well, I'd hope so. If you're 5 books in, yeah, that's a lot of effort for something if you don't enjoy it. So there's one in particular, I think, called Simple, Logical, and Repeatable, which I think speaks to a lot of what you've been talking about. It certainly speaks to what I think most of us understand the McDonald's philosophy to be about. If you think about it in terms of process and repeatability and consistency, there's probably 2 big names in history that come out. McDonald's is one of them, and Ford is probably the other, isn't it? Way back in the day of the production line.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a bit more about this concept, what it means, why you think it's so crucial for any business that wants to be more consistent in terms of their results, their process, their outputs?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And simple, logical, repeatable is a great, if I say so myself, self-praise is no praise, as my mother always told me. No, but it's a really good way of understanding the simplicity of the McDonald's model, because at its heart, it is really simple. That, if you plan well, if you hire well, if you give people a good way of working to follow, and then you make that stick, if you hold them to it, then you will achieve consistency and you will develop a team that takes ownership for their role. The thing with McDonald's is that they never talked about systems and processes. They just didn't talk about it. It was, you learned the McDonald's way to do everything. And, the number of times as a restaurant manager, I would see a, 16-year-old sort of shuffling in, the sort that wouldn't tidy their room at home. And, you taught them how to do the fry station. And within a couple of weeks, they were a productive member of the team because they knew how to cook French fries, and they would take ownership for them. They would take pride in the fact that no till person was ever having to wait for fries. And they became a team member and they learned the whole idea of team. And I saw that so many times. More recently, my thinking has evolved into this whole idea of there being 4 sets of systems in every business. The sexy systems, who are, the marketing, PR, the sales, the sexy systems get all of the attention. They get most of the investment. They get most of the energy of the business owner. Because you've got to attract people into your business. And of course, the sexy systems are important. Of course, you want to attract new people to your business, but they get a disproportionate amount of investment, energy, etc. The next set are the security systems. and they are, your finance, your accounting, your cash flow management. And what most business owners do with those is hire a good accountant and then pretty much abdicate responsibility for those numbers. I mean, I definitely know small business owners, I'm sure you do by that face, who don't really look at their numbers. They look at their bank balance and is it okay? They maybe have a monthly meeting with their accountant. We okay? And that's about it, really. It's only when there is a problem or, current financial situation that we have in the world, that people might start to get a bit twitchy, might look a little bit more closely, but otherwise it's like an abdicated responsibility. Then there are the service systems, and they are, if a business owner says to me, I'm going to systemize my business, these are the systems that they look at, and it's the nuts and bolts of their operation, the day-to-day, how things get done, systems. And really, it's just so important. That this is when I'm saying about the McDonald's way. These are the service systems are the McDonald's way of running your business. And what I absolutely 100% recommend to everybody is to stop talking the language of systems. Don't even use the word process. 100% don't use standard operating procedures. Don't get into that whole gobbledygook corporate nonsense. I'll be polite. That of the language of systems, because it's blocking. Even the word process shrinks a little bit of my soul every time I say it, because not because I fully appreciate what it does for a business, but it's such a blocking word. Teams don't want to follow processes, but they will work to our way of doing things. And I encourage every business owner to get their team together in each area of the business and go, what's the most simple, logical, repeatable way to do this task and this task and this task? Let's capture it. Let's capture it not as a document. Let's not sit for hours and type up documents. Let's capture it as a how-to video. And let's keep it on if you don't want to spend money on an app to have it, keep it on a Google Sheet where these are the routine tasks for this role. Here are all of the how-to videos. So I'm going to teach you one-to-one, but when you forget how to do it, just go back and have a look at the video, because it shows you clearly how to do it and it tells you why it's important to do it that way. And I think that whole idea of having how-to videos where you do naturally explain the what, how, and why of doing something, it's just such a much better way to cement learning than giving somebody a document that they will probably never look at again, or even be able to find in the whole filing system. So we have sexy systems, security systems, service systems, and then the most important set of systems, which are the systems that get the least attention in any business, which are the sticky systems. So if you develop our way of doing things and make it our way with the team, then you make it stick by hiring the right people first time and never settling for anybody who isn't right. And I would guarantee for those who have a team that if I said to them, if you could rehire all of your team tomorrow, how many would make the cut? They would. And this is a question I have asked hundreds and hundreds of times, and there's only ever been twice somebody said, oh yeah, all my team are perfect. There's always been one person that, oh yeah, he's never been right. But on his day. Anyway, so you hire the right people and don't settle. You consistently train them to follow our way of doing things and invest in training, invest time. If you've got a new person starting, set out what they need to learn how to do in the first 30 days and really invest time in training them properly. McDonald's invest a massive amount of money to make sure that everybody is trained to follow the McDonald's way. It's so important to them, their brand, to the quality that's delivered, to the standards. And then the third sticky system is your feedback system. And again, not shouting at people when they've done something wrong, not that whole negative, performance management, which is just taken on such a negative connotation. We only give people feedback when they've done something wrong. No, it's that day-to-day, brilliant. Love the way you talk to that customer. Oh, just seeing that email you sent out. Perfect. Oh my God, the customer must have felt great when they got that. That sort of day-to-day recognition, and also day-to-day picking up on things that are not to standard, not somebody following our way of doing things. And then quarterly basis, sitting them down and giving them their time in the sun, giving them whether they're doing brilliantly or not so well, giving them their time in the sun, where you tell them how they're doing and then tell them how they can improve. And if they're doing really well, tell them how they can do even better and how you want to see more for them, how they can take on more responsibility, really stretching people, pushing them out of their comfort zones. And if you invest the time to develop our way and then you make it stick with the sticky systems, then you achieve consistency. And it's that it is simple, it is logical, and it's 100% repeatable. That's what gives people ownership as well. If they understand how to do their role and if they were involved in helping to develop how it was done, they're going to own it and protect it and share it with those who follow them. So that's, simple, logical, repeatable.
Yeah, no, I love it. And I think that ownership point is really important. I think that's something that it's why we talk a lot about the context, making people feel part of, well, we've already talked about it today, haven't we? Like the strategy and the vision and the goals, but specifically like what's their small part of it, however small or large it may be. And as a reformed quality manager, like I sort of wish I'd had this conversation 10, 15 years ago, because those words, process, procedure, system, even sometimes, like SOPs, all of it, you're so right. It becomes that sort of, how if you're talking to like a scientist or an academic or somebody who's really knowledgeable and they throw as many different terms and acronyms out as possible.
Yes.
Partly, I think, to show how much they know. Fair enough. They've kind of earned that. But also to sort of separate you from it a little bit. So it makes it harder for you to understand it, particularly if they don't want you to understand it. I feel like words like that, it's the same sort of thing. Is people detach from it, don't they? Yeah. They can't connect it to themselves or the thing they're actually doing every day. Yes. Yeah. And so they switch off. They're never going to learn your process as a result of that. And I wish I'd had that knowledge, that sort of understanding a bit sooner.
Really interesting saying about being a quality manager. I remember years and years ago now, there was a big push to develop total quality management in McDonald's. And there was a very senior guy put in charge of it. And it was like, I think of it now as like the businesses that have to follow ISO 9001. And, it was just such a bureaucratic way. And I think we worked on it for 12 months, maybe 18 months. And then it just became one of those, do you remember when we did total quality management? It just didn't fit into the McDonald's way at all. It was like ISO 9001. And I totally appreciate that some businesses have to have it because they can't get a contract if they don't have it or whatever. Totally appreciate that. But a number of businesses that I know have ISO 9001 have their ISO 9001 processes, and then they have their way of doing things. And it's like two separate. They're just, if anybody comes to check, yes, here's our ISO 9001, but actually here's how we really do things. And it just felt like that. It was like it wasn't real. It was just like layered onto what we were already doing really well. It's just bizarre, most bizarre thing. But yeah, there's always, having said that, there is a time and a place for quality management, and some businesses definitely need it.
Yeah. So I did it in two different businesses, and it was 9001. It was in the aerospace industry. Like the first one we did, it was because of exactly that. Like you needed something to get contracts, particularly when you're selling parts that go on aeroplanes. Like there's a safety
of course,
thing there. Now, having said that, we did 9001 because it's the entry level and it's the easiest one. There is an aerospace specific standard that is way more like rigorous, which we couldn't do for, I can't remember why.
Yeah.
Time, money, effort, budget, probably. I don't know, something like that. But I think, I mean, you're so right. It's, as an industry, I think quality management needs to take a look at itself, frankly, because too many people in that industry, I think, in that particular profession, think of it in terms of exactly the opposite of what we've been talking about, like that rigid box ticking process. There's no humanity to it. And so you become like, you're just an administrator, effectively. You're filling in pointless forms that the only person who's ever going to read them is the auditor. It's not serving the business. And for me, quality and ISO 9001 in particular, it should always have been the other way around. It's you document what you're already doing, and then you audit that and you report on that and you make that a useful tool for your business.
Definitely.
Not what most companies do, which is exactly as you described. We have the 9001 paperwork that is only trotted out once a year when the auditor comes in, and then we have everything else. And,
it's just mad.
And I've taken both approaches.
A waste of time.
Yeah, absolutely.
God.
Like the week before an audit used to be the worst week of my year when I was doing that work, because you just spend that week going back, generating paperwork for the auditor, maybe not generating, filling in. There we go. Yeah, filling in paperwork about things that really did happen already, honest.
Yeah.
Putting them in the nice folders, printing everything out, because it always had to be printed. They couldn't possibly look at a screen.
Of course.
Such a waste of time.
No, such a waste
of time. Weeks of my life wasted that.
But even the whole documenting of processes, honestly, I know so many business owners who have spent hours in front of their laptops developing processes, documenting processes, and then wondering why the team don't follow them. As well, you didn't train them. You put them in a file and said, have you followed the, whatever way of doing it? You put them in a file. You didn't train them. You didn't follow up to see if they were doing them. You didn't ask them if this was a simple, logical, repeatable or other language, but you didn't ask them if this was simple enough for them to follow. Was it logical? Did it make sense? You're at the coalface. Does it make sense to do it this way? Where would you challenge it? It's one of my biggest frustrations. Is one, the documenting, but two, the lack of investment in training and feedback.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Which is ironic, isn't it? Particularly with the ISO standards, because they've all got built-in clauses about continuous improvement and feedback loops and things like this. And you're just like... Yeah, I don't know. So I always liked to start with, okay, if we have to document a process, sit down with the person who's doing that job and get them to tell me how they're doing it. And I'll just write down what they're doing. And then you can ask questions like, okay, how did we come to this? Why are we doing it this way? Can you see a better way to do it, or any improvements and that sort of thing? But even then, people can get a little bit hostile about that. Like, why are you documenting my job? Is that going in a job advert or something? Is this thing I need to know? And people panic, and it's all very, very hectic, very angsty.
That's why and this like, God, and you must come across this all the time. I do like these little culture audits. They're just like Google surveys. So, do you love your job? How much, what would you improve? All that sort of stuff. The biggest and most consistently appearing problem is always communication. And I think if you're saying to your business, to your team, we need to be more structured, or we need to be more systemized. There's like 5 ways to do each job, and each of you have got your own different way of doing it. We need, if we're going to grow as a business and there's going to be more opportunity for all of us, we need to pull this together and be more systemized about it. So what we're going to do is, I or X person is going to come and sit with you, and we're going to talk through I don't know, say a little reception team. There's 3 of you. We're gonna sit with the reception team. We're going to talk through what are all of the routine tasks that you do every single day without fail. What are all of the routine tasks? Then we're going to look at each one and go, right, how do we do that task? And then when we agree the one right way that we're going to do it, we're going to get you to capture it on a video, because then it's yours. You capture it on a how-to video, just talk through what you're doing, why you're doing it that way. And in fact, it's even better if you train somebody and actually have them sitting beside you as you record the video, because then they can ask you questions and they're in the video and it makes it even stronger. And then one by one, we're just going to capture, you are going to capture how you do your job. The 3 of you, you're going to split it up between you. You're going to capture it. Then we're going to build it into our training system so that everybody new that comes into work on reception will have this series of how-to videos that they can learn from, in addition to you teaching them one-to-one. They can have a look at them at home, or they can, it's going to help them in their learning. They can check on them. It's going to stop them coming and asking you questions like, what did you mean when you wrote this in that document? It's just so much more straightforward. And I would love people to embrace how-to videos. I know a lot of people go, oh, but I hate myself. I hate my voice on video. I hate it. It's not about you. It's about capturing how you do your job. And, Lord, Loom and Descript, and God, there's probably about half a dozen apps now that are just so good at screen capturing, but also practical. Like I did this with a hotel who used to do weddings, and they did a great how to set up the bridal suite for the wedding night, video, just because you can. Most people, if you think about, if you want to learn how to do something new, you don't go to Google and say, give me a process document for cooking the perfect boiled egg. You say, how to cook the perfect boiled egg, and up pops 27 videos. Mostly American, but they're 27 videos.
Usually on YouTube,
Usually on YouTube, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a point in there as well, I think, about the communication piece you've mentioned, but also, well, a lot of what we talked about, definitely quality management. If I was to do it over again, it's, I don't know, documented process, I think, is open to interpretation. Doesn't necessarily imply a document, does it? It could be exactly as you say, a video. It could
capture.
be like
I use the word capture because then it can be a document. It can be an infographic. It can be a video.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that, so the point I'm getting to is understanding, like building in awareness and ability to have multiple communication avenues, if you like. Absolutely. Because everyone learns differently. Everyone interprets the information differently. Like for a lot of people, if it's not audio, it won't stick. Others, maybe reading a document is fine. Whereas some people like the sort of interactivity of a video and feel like they know the person who's doing it. So I think having the options there is great.
Yeah.
And the best thing about video, of course, if you start with that, the other two flow out of it.
Exactly.
Like with AI as well these days, like you can get your little transcript, that becomes your document. You can get it to interpret the video and turn it into an infographic or screenshots or whatever.
Absolutely. And I'm really glad you brought up AI, because I had a message from a guy on LinkedIn a few months ago now that said, oh, really interested in your work, watched a few of your videos, and I'd love you to trial our new AI process generating software. It can generate a process in 12 seconds.
Cool.
Oh my God, how amazing. But no, thank you, because I'm a massive believer that processes should be generated by the people who actually work on them. And that doesn't take 12 seconds. If you want absolutely, if you want to just bang out processes that nobody will follow, knock yourself out. But, I wish you all the very best with it, but it's so not. I would never want to generate a process in 12 seconds. But
no.
I can't. I sort of wish I'd had the meeting because I would love to have seen what they produce in 12 seconds as a process.
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine it's going to be very good. A first draft at best.
Yeah. Just And what sort of buy-in when a robot gives you your process?
No, that's literally the worst way to go, isn't it? Especially when a lot of people are already worried about losing their jobs to AI, and then you show up and say, "Here's the process that AI has decided you're going to do."
Yeah, exactly. Get on with it.
Can't see that working. Cannot see that working. But best of luck to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Best of luck to them, because there will be loads of business owners that will go, "Oh, fantastic! That'll save me loads of time."
Do you know what? I can see a little niche for them there in people who are seeking ISO certification but don't want to write anything down.
Oh, yes. There you go. Get in touch. Amazing.
This one, I think, could be an intriguing answer. We'll see.
Okay.
What do you think are the common mistakes, or the most common mistakes, that a lot of business owners will make when that I guess hold them back from that sort of consistency that we've been talking about?
Yeah, to be honest, I do think we've sort of covered all of these. So it's definitely thinking that they have to be the be all and end all. They have to come up with the way everything is done. They have to be the holders of strategy, and nobody else can be involved. But it is that dictating from the top how everything will be done, and not involving the team, not treating the team as adults and sitting them down and going, "This isn't working. How can we make this better? What can I do to support you in making this better?" Being leaders effectively, rather than that sort of control freak dictator that has to control everything. The sooner you can get ownership comes from having one right way to do everything, training it, giving feedback. So everything is clear. There's total clarity about what the role is. There's total clarity about what good looks like, what the standard is generally, when somebody's going to get feedback, etc., etc. When there's total clarity, then people feel that they can take ownership. They're not scared of making decisions because they have all of the information they need to make those decisions. That's when the business owner can be freed to work on growing the business. But too many are stuck in it, fixing things that if they had invested time training in the first place, wouldn't need to be fixed. That whole right first time comes from a lot of business owners will say to me, "Oh, you just can't get good people these days. Oh God, the Gen Z or Z or whatever the hell they're called, they just don't get it. They just don't want to work." And they are completely, in my opinion, obviously Gen Z have some attributes that, they get work-life balance. Shame on them that they get work-life balance. But it's like, you've got to engage the people, and the way you engage them is to be interested in them, develop them. That the whole point of feedback is to develop somebody. So train them, but then develop them by giving them feedback on how they can be better. Then you free yourself to be a business owner, and you get consistency. It's just win, 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 but you have to invest the time to hire right, not settle, train right, and give feedback.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, that whole people don't want to work is just a massive leadership red flag to me straight away. Because to me, like, they say that, what I hear is, "No, mate, they want to work. They just don't want to work for you."
Yeah.
Maybe have a think about why.
Yeah. Why can't they show some initiative? Oh my God, it's just common sense. I really wish I had £1 for every time I've heard that. So, initiative comes from being trained to do a job, knowing what good looks like.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like putting people in generational boxes, being a millennial, having been through that from the other side not so long ago. Well, actually quite a long time ago now. But anyway. But I do think those sort of leaders, nobody wants to work for them. That's the secret here, isn't it? It's just that the younger generations are the ones willing to say so.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. They've got way more confidence than, certainly than I did when I was my naive 21-year-old.
Yeah, me too, probably. And I think maybe the sort of world and workplace that they've grown up in versus to what we had, I think it gives them the ability to do that a lot easier, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And which is a good thing, I would add.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Awesome. All right. So one final question on systems. You must have heard this. I know I did, just in the 2 businesses where I did that quality management, right?
Yeah.
So there's that classic pushback against systems, against process, about whatever word you give it, about, it will stifle creativity. And we don't want to be put in boxes. We don't want to be on rails. We don't want to be limited. How do you respond to that concern? Because I never got an answer to this that worked, I have to say.
For me, it's about thinking about the foundational tasks that everybody has to do every day that have got nothing to do with creativity. In a graphic design business, really creative people, but they all have to do basic tasks. They all have to set up for their day. They all have to fill out client forms or, onboard a client. They all have to give a report to a client, that can be templated. There are so many time-saving tasks in every bit of work that, if they are consistent, take less time. You just don't think about them. You just do them automatically. Whereas if you're coming to a task and every time you're having to be creative, it just wastes the brain power for your creativity. For me, systems free people to be creative. They give them that solid foundation to be creative on in any role. And that could be, working in a customer service role. If you know the foundations of your role, the boundaries of your role, then you can be creative with a customer to say, I can give you that little extra whatever. You can do that because it's your boundaries around being creative. But those creative jobs, 100%, there are so many routine tasks that can just be automated, systemized, templated, that would save so much time. I hope it's one. There's so many myths around systems, and that stifle creativity is definitely one of the big ones. And the other one is how do you get people to follow? How do you get people to follow processes? Well, we've already been through that. You train them and you give them feedback.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good answer. I wish I'd thought of it years back. But I think, there's a parallel argument there with AI as well, isn't there? And where you apply it in your business.
Yeah.
But I think it's always kind of, the way I think about it now, it's like if your brain has a total capacity, like a fuel tank maybe, if you're using like 80% of it to think about that monotonous stuff, or how what's the next step in this process, because I haven't got any reference, I just have to try and remember it.
Yes.
Then you can't use that capacity being creative.
Yeah. No, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
It's different parts of the brain, probably, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. But it's also thinking about, there used to be a task. I can't even think of what it was now. There used to be a task that I had to do once a year, and every year I had to Google how to do it because I couldn't remember, because I hadn't captured how I did it. Every year I was like, why didn't I flipping capture this last year? And then it would just be so easy. But I didn't. Physician, heal thyself and all that. But it's mad. It's mad that people don't see that. They don't see the benefit of it. But so many don't.
Yeah. I guess that's where I'm, one area, one of many probably, where I'm lucky is from that aerospace and aviation experience. They love a good checklist in that world.
Yeah.
So you get in that habit quite quickly.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Crikey. Or you die.
Well, one way or the other, yeah. Or somebody does. Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. So I've got only fun questions left now.
Okay.
These have all been fun anyway, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Conversation has. But
I love talking. I could talk about this for hours, days even.
Yeah.
So.
Well, me too. Quite easily. I'm not sure anyone would listen to me for that long, but anyway. So first one, and I asked this one to pretty much everyone now because I really enjoy hearing the answers, for good or ill. So you don't have to name names unless you want to, but what is your best memory of being led?
I had a really inspiring boss. Sadly not my immediate boss, but his boss. He just had this fantastic way of remembering small details about everybody he met, and it literally everybody that he met in the business, he would know their mother's name or their other half's name or their kids' names or their dog's name and ask after them. Or he would remember that last time he saw them, they were going off to a football match, or who they supported it just the most incredible memory. And he made everybody feel valued and seen and heard. And he was so inspiring. And was a very inspiring leader. Generally, because I guess he made you feel really good about yourself, and spotted what was good about you and pulled that out of you. He was great. And actually, I am happy to name him. His name was Andrew Taylor. He was a good man. He is a good man, I'm sure. I'm not still in touch with him, but I'm sure he is still a good man.
Yeah, I mean that is a great skill, isn't it? And I think it's as you said, it makes people feel seen and valued and listened to, and it's all those things that really make a leader like stick in your memory for good reasons instead of bad.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people in those positions say, "Well, I'm responsible for so many people. How am I expected to remember all these things and all these names and all that?" And okay, some people's memories don't work that way. That's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Take notes. Have a little notebook.
Yeah.
And again, people are like, well, yeah, but he doesn't care enough to remember it. He cares enough to write it down. I mean, that's just as good in my book.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to X, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. I'll remember that and I'll make sure I ask. Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever
Some
works.
people just don't care enough. That's
it. Or don't see it as important, or don't see the people as important enough, and all that sort of thing. I think, whatever your method for doing it, if your memory's not that good, because mine isn't, write it down.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a good thing.
We've got our phones in our hands almost all the time, and they have recording functions and note functions. Yeah.
Yeah. Plenty of ways to do it if you care enough to do it. And that's the thing, isn't it? Is caring enough to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so not to spoil the next question, but I reckon I can predict your answer. If you could start your career over again, is there anything you would do differently?
Yes, there is definitely, and it goes to my to my character really. I was always a people pleaser, and so as in terms of how I managed that first group of people, I was always well liked, but I think there would be some people who would say, yeah, but you were too soft, or you were, and not that I felt I needed to be harder, but I just needed to be more consistent day to day in how I dealt with people. And I obviously I've grown up a lot since then, but I do when I look back, I would love to have been to have been a better manager quicker, if that makes sense. But generally, yes. And one other thing, I tended to have things happen to me. So somebody would suggest, "Oh, I think you'd be great over there," and I would, "Okay, I'll go over there," rather than actually mapping out where I wanted to go, where I wanted to go within the business, or really thinking it. I lived very much day to day. I didn't really plan what I wanted or where I wanted to go. I just, I'll do that, which worked out absolutely fine. But yeah, because I look at younger people today who are very definite about. They're so much more definite about their choices, or the fact that they haven't made up their minds, so they're going to do 101 things before they decide what they want to do. which frustrates the hell out of their parents. I know from talking to a few, but yeah. Does that answer your question?
You took me by surprise there. That wasn't the answer I expected.
What was the answer you were expecting?
No. Yeah.
Oh.
Thank you for an honest answer.
I think there's always things that we recognise we could have done better when we.
Yeah, probably. I think you're being a little bit hard on yourself with the first one.
Yeah,
I think,
possibly.
especially like your first management job, I think everyone goes through that or something similar.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure the people I managed in my first team would have not complimentary things to say about me. Although I am still in regular contact with at least one of them. So,
brilliant.
I can't have done too bad of a job.
That's a very good sign. That is
Either that or I redeemed myself years later.
Yeah.
Probably that. And the second one, I think, it's sort of the same experience for me as well. I think I had a plan A after uni, which didn't happen, and I didn't have a plan B, and then I just sort of fell into one thing after the other, and there was no real plan.
Yeah.
But I ended up where I am, and it's all good.
No,
so,
exactly. I am a massive believer in things happen for a reason, and I do not regret a minute of my McDonald's career. And I've loved it. One thing coming out of McDonald's, I mean, you do get a bit institutionalized. I literally grew up in McDonald's, and you sort of think that the sun rises and sets under the golden arches, and then you come out and you start working with small business, and you're like, oh my God, look at all these businesses out here, and aren't they amazing? And look at all these people. It's, people used to say to me, why don't you niche? Why don't you work with just accountants? It's like, well, because I love working with a brewery one week and a robotics business currently in the States the next week, and a business in the Congo the week after that has nothing to do with accountancy. I just love that variety. It's been amazing. It's just, and actually I think I've learned so much more from working with a variety of businesses than I would have if I had stuck with just one industry, one type of business. So yeah.
Same. Yeah, I think that's the beauty of small businesses. There's as many out there as there are ideas in people's heads.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Which actually, when you think about, when you left uni and you sort of fell into things, when I left uni, my mother had for me, I was either going to join John Lewis or Marks and Spencer's. And that was the level of my ambition. I didn't think for a second I could go and teach scuba diving in the Maldives, or it's just as you say, there are as many businesses as there are ideas. Maybe I just lacked imagination. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe. I don't think so.
Back then, different times.
Yeah, I think there is that, and the times were definitely different. I think for me at the time as well, it was around the time of the credit crash as well. So just any job was a good job at that point. And it took me a year to find that one even. So but then there's parallels right now, aren't there, I guess, and with the COVID years too. And then, well, let's maybe not talk too much about current events. I'm feeling optimistic this morning. I don't want to spoil it.
Let's end on a positive.
Absolutely. So that brings me to the last question, which is my favorite one.
Okay.
So it's called Leadership Heroes.
Leadership Heroes.
If you had to pick one person, but it can be anyone you can think of, so they could be alive, dead, past, present, real, or fictitious if you wish, but someone who, in your opinion, would perfectly embody leadership. So who would that person be and why?
Well, this is a bit left field, but I'm going to say, based on something that happened very recently, or something I saw very recently, I'm going to say Matt Damon, the actor, because, and of course, I don't know him personally. If it was somebody personally, it would probably be Andrew Taylor or another boss called Jeanette Rowe, who was amazing and fun and lots of good things. But I'm going to see Matt Damon because everything I've seen about him is that he's very grounded, he's very bright, he's very caring about fairness and decency and being honest, and he's willing to stand up for those who are who are not as well off, gifted, lucky, whatever you want to call it, as he is. And I think those things are really important. Actually, another person, if I'm allowed to have to, would be Katie Piper, who I saw interviewed at an event recently. I was so glad she didn't speak, but she actually was interviewed because it brought so much out. She is absolutely phenomenal in terms of how inspirational she is. Everything she's been through, Katie Piper had acid thrown in her face. Everything she's been through, she is so grounded. She has just really grounded views on celebrity that it's like, what is celebrity? It's nothing really. It's just, it's just it's your job sort of thing. It really believes in forgiveness. She's really generous in giving up her time to help others who've been through similar things to what she has. Yeah, great. So generally it's about kindness, fairness of thought, integrity, generosity of spirit, and sort of all encompassed, if I can be a bit sort of woo-woo, just in love. It's just a love of fellow human beings, and caring enough about them to want the best for them. And I think as a leader, actually, if we go into business with that as part of our mindset, yeah, you want to build a business, but if you really love and care the people you're serving and the people who are going to work with you, then you're going to have a better outcome.
Yeah, I'm here for that 100%. I think another common theme there is humility as well, especially
Absolutely.
in the circles they move in. Like, that must be quite difficult to stay humble.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, humility is a good one. There, but for the grace of God.
Indeed. Yeah, and I don't think anyone's chosen either of those before, so I don't know whether I should let you have two or make you pick one. But either way, you're going to get bonus points. So,
if I'm picking one, probably I'll pick Katie Piper because I actually, I was with her in person rather than Matt Damon, who I saw on the screen.
Fair enough. Yeah, both excellent choices, though. Thank you for that. And we're kind of out of time. Yeah, so one last small question I'll ask you is, if anyone in the audience would like to learn more about you, the work you do, maybe get a copy of that book or one of the other four, where can they go? What's the website and so on?
The website is mariannepage.com, so that's very straightforward. I'm also on YouTube if anybody wanted to, just get some free stuff on YouTube. Lots of good short videos there, and the books are on Amazon, and two of them are on Audible. Simple, Logical, Repeatable is definitely on Audible, for those who'd rather listen than read, as long as they can put up with my voice for 4 hours. But if they put up with an hour and an hour or so here listening to us, then maybe they can.
Yeah, it's always better when it's the actual author reading it, I think.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know. Feels a bit too commercialized when they hire someone else to do it for them.
Yeah. Well, I write as I speak, so I was the obvious choice.
Fair enough. Yeah. Well, I mean, good on you for actually taking the time to do that. I think a lot of authors don't. So
I do enjoy it.
Lovely. Well, Marianne, thank you again so much for being with us today. I've loved talking with you.
I've loved it as well. It's been a really good roaming conversation, which is what I think all the best podcasts are.
Yeah, well, obviously I agree, but it's always nice when it all comes together like that, because sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
Which is fine too, but I enjoy this one more.
Great stuff. No, me too. Thanks a lot, David.
You too, and have a great rest of your day.
Brilliant. Thank you, and thank you for listening to those who are.
Marianne, thank you again for your time for that conversation today. I really enjoyed it. We went down some great little avenues there, and I was reliving some of my dark past as a quality manager, and although so many lessons just resurfacing from that time. And as I said during our chat, I kind of wish we'd had that conversation 15 years ago. It would have made my life a lot easier in my earlier career. But never mind. Hopefully all of the listeners and the viewers will benefit from that knowledge. Any entrepreneurs in the audience will definitely have benefited from the lessons there around systems and how to make them stick and how to make them effective and how to keep people engaged with them. And of course, any leader or manager who listened or watched, I'm sure, has got loads out of that conversation. Once again, listener, viewer, if you want to learn more about Marianne, check those links down in the show notes. And if you're looking for some support with your leadership, if you just want a friendly pair of ears to talk leadership with, do visit my website as well. It's on the screen, it's in the show notes. It's leadingwithintegrity.co.uk. Come and join the community. Reach out to me directly. Happy to chat leadership with anyone for any amount of time, pretty much. Yeah, I could go on for days. You probably know that by now if you're a long-time listener. So thank you again for being with us. I hope you'll join me again next week because we have a very special episode to kick off the month of June. I have not one, not two, but 3 guests. I'm joined by the Only networking crew, Kearney and the Wests. That sounds like a band name. Kelly and James West, the founders of Only, and of course Kearney, the member success manager as well. It's a family business, and you will hear much more about that next week. So I hope you'll be there. It's a first for me. I've had 1 or 2 guests at once before, but I've never had 3 in one go. So there'll be a bit of wrangling going on, I'm sure. Either way, it's going to be entertaining, and I hope you'll be there with us. Until then, as always, have a great rest of your week and be a leader, not a boss.